Hey, good morning, everyone. Uh, Welcome to Mimi's Front Porch. I'm Melanie, aka Mimi, to my fantastic grandbabies. I noticed yesterday that Wanda from Deep South Homestead had posted a video about her family cloths that she received from one of her subscribers. Now, these things are just fantastic because it's a great money saving device, I guess, for lack of a better word, product, whatever, and they're extremely easy to make, easy to keep clean, make as many as you need depending on the size of your family. Place them in bathroom or outhouse, as the case may be, with keeping in mind that the ladies are probably going to use these a bit more than the men. Make sure you have a good container, and I would recommend airtight if possible, with a cleaning solution inside to almost give yourself a bit of a pre-wash so that when it is time to clean your family cloths, it's going to be nice and easy to do, line dry, that kind of thing. So I had planned on making a video today on making these, well, we don't call them family cloths, we just call them bathroom cloths. Pick a word, any word, they're all good. Just like Wanda, we don't use them for the really dirty stuff. We just basically use them for the wet stuff. What I have done is I've chosen some fabric, some flannel from my stash, and this flannel is soft on both sides. It has a good high thread count, and that's something that you want to look for. I've noticed recently that particularly in little flannel receiving blankets that are made for babies, the thread count seems to be getting lower and lower, and that is going to create a roughness on the back side of the fabric. It's almost as if the front is a bit felted so that it's softer against a baby's skin. So you want to look for something with a high thread count. It doesn't have to be particularly pretty. This is not my favorite. And I also have this one, and it's just scrap flannel that I've had in my stash, left over from making baby quilts and the like. But you want to check your thread count and make sure that you have a good one so that it's soft. And if it's a better thread count, higher, I would say anywhere between 45 and 75 is, if you got a 75 thread count, that'd be some super, super soft stuff. Say that 3 times fast. But, just look for something that's going to be really good quality and is soft on both sides. So that's my recommendation. Now, I cut my cloths 7.5 square. Now, this is big enough for our purposes here because, like I said, we basically use it for the wet stuff. You can fold it in a variety of directions, use it however you feel is necessary. And this size is big enough that you really, unless you're a 12-year-old boy and having an adventure in the bathroom, this is enough. So, what I do, and I'm going to give you a brief kind of rundown through how I make these. Basically, I use any sewing machine will work. In fact, if you wanted to, you could actually hand stitch these. I'm using a zigzag stitch at a 3.0 width and 2.0 length, which is a fairly small zigzag. And I've already got some started over here because I wanted to make some for my other bathroom. I don't know if you can see, let's see if I can get this to focus. If you can see my stitching, backside might show better. Can you see that? It's a relatively small zigzag. It is catching on the lower edge. I just fold this over as I go. I don't do any pressing on these. You can see this still has a fold line in it from where I pulled it out of my stash. and it's going to work great. Just threw it down on the cutting mat, used my rotary cutter. I was able to cut 6 layers with a new blade, so it cuts really easy. You can use scissors if you want to get the size that you want. Now, if you're going to be making multiple units, I recommend chain piecing. It's just the easiest way to do it, and I will show you how that goes over here. Today I'm working on Matty O because Sweet Sally has a quilt on her right now, and it's just too much trouble to take it off to use her, even though she's my personal favorite. So today, Matty O is actually a newer replica of Sally O, or Sweet Sally, and it's basically the same machine. It's a Singer Quantum Stylist 9960. Wonderful for free motion quilting, for piecing, for general sewing. It's got 600 stitches on it, and you could read my reviews on Sewing Machines Plus, and they're good. I have 2 of these because the machine is that good. So anyway, let's get on to it. I'm going to show you the machine in action here and how I run these through. Get a few of them done, and you'll see how easy it is to make some of these for yourself. So let's go to the machine. Alright, here we are at the sewing machine. I have just my standard A-foot on, using a universal needle in there. You don't need anything special to do this. And like I mentioned before, I've got my machine on a 3.0 width and a 2.0 length, and what we're going to do is just feed these straight through. So I'm folding it over about 1/4 of an inch, and this is not rocket science, and it's also not going to be inspected by the sewing police. So take your time, enjoy it, do the best you can, and like I said before, any sewing machine that works will make these. You don't have to have any kind of special features. This is a basic zigzag, and you can make a choice on how big you want your squares to be. You can make rectangles. You can, for that matter, you could make rounds or ovals. It doesn't really matter. Now what we're doing here is we're feeding these through one after another. You can see here I didn't even cut the selvage off of this. It just doesn't matter. Now my fabric has been pre-washed, and the reason I pre-washed it, and I do recommend it, is that flannel is made of cotton and it will shrink. Because I like to use a 40 weight polyester thread to make these, and polyester does not shrink, or it shouldn't, I like to pre-wash in advance. Now, there's always the chance that I'm going to get a little more shrinkage in, you know, a second or third wash, and I do wash these on very hot water. I have a setting on my machine. Oh, we got one that doesn't want to cooperate. Let's pull it just a touch. Have a setting on my wash machine for sanitizing, and that's what I use to wash these. I keep them in a solution of 2 parts water and 1 part vinegar until I wash. Now, as you can see, we've had quite a few of these go through, and they come out all connected together. It's easy enough just to snip, and if you have a fancy thread cutter, now's the time to use it. You're going to go through and you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so I'm going to do a few of these and I'll be right back to you. Now we've got our 2 sides sewn. We've got little hems in both sides. And I'd just like to mention too, you can see here that I actually didn't get my stitches over that that edge. That's okay if you get just a little bit of fraying, because flannel will fray. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. Now, when you're doing, starting on this, flannel will choke your machine. So you want to make sure that you've got some, either a thread charger or pull yourself out some thread. In this case, I'm just going to pull myself out some thread. I'm going to get my bobbin thread pulled up. And actually, I'll show you both ways to do it. We'll do this one, and then I'll show you with the thread charger. Now, I'm going to start this a bit back in the machine so that that corner doesn't go down into my needle pass. Lower our needle. Let me get that top thread. There we go. I'm going to wind it on my finger a time or two. That's the way I like to do it. Everybody has their own way. I'm going to step her backwards a time or two. And still holding my threads, I'm going to let her rip. And that's going to keep that from pulling down into the needle hole. And just sew all the way down. Because this is a finished edge, I'm going to backstitch some and just use my thread cutter. Now, let's use a thread charger. Just happen to have some here. And a thread charger is nothing more than a double layer of fabric that you can start sewing on and then add your project piece into it. So I have short threads actually. My thread is cut in the bobbin and I cut it on the top. You can see here there's just a tiny tail hanging out. So I'm going to set my needle and I'm going to sew forward. And now I'm going to stick my project piece in there. I'm going to butt it right up against that thread charger. And don't ask me why it's called a thread charger. That just seems to be the name everybody calls it. I'm going to butt it right up against that other project, or that thread charger. Oh, I slipped. Let me get her back in there. Perfect. And we're just going to ride them through together. Now this piece was originally cut at 7.5, and because we've taken about a 1/4 inch all the way around, we've got a 7-inch piece now, which is sufficient to dry your dingle in the bathroom. There you go. Snip your thread charger away. You're all set. And so here is a finished piece. You can put these in a pretty basket, or you can tuck them away under a cupboard, you know, whatever suits you. They're very useful, very handy, saves you a lot of money, and these came from, this fabric came from my scrap bin. This is stuff that was left over from a project, so there has been no waste. So friends, that's how we make our little bathroom cloths. Feel free to write down the information. I'll make sure it's in the description box for the size that I used on my fabric, and the stitch settings that I used on my machine. Make a mess of these. Put them in your outhouse, put them in your bathroom, save yourself some money. There is going to come a time in our world where we cannot go shopping, I fear, and you're going to have need of a lot of things, and this is going to be a little luxury that you will appreciate. It doesn't seem like a lot, but not only can it be a really good money-saving product for you right now, but in the event that you had to have these, wouldn't that be nice? I think it would be really nice. So I'm going to make a bunch more. I want to have those on hand. Wash and dry. Put them back in your basket. Put them back in your cupboard. And use them again. You can't beat that. I love saving money. You can also go over to Deep South Homestead and check out Wanda's video. I think it went up yesterday. And I was so happy to see it because I was like, oh, I have a plan already. So, yeah, we're kind of on the same page thinking that way. So, here's our little bathroom wipe. Oh, these would be great for potty training little girls, wouldn't they? Nice and soft. Yeah, because you want something that's going to clean them good. Anyway, there you go. You all have a nice day. And thanks for coming in and watching my little project here. And I think I'm going to get outside and water my seeds and look under my billboard skins and see if the grass is dead. Boy, I really want to get that done. So, there you go. Have a great day. Go to the toilet.